Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a release that is literally one of my favorites of the year. Every single year, it's something that I always look forward to in the beauty world, and I was a little nervous that maybe it wasn't going to happen this year. I just hadn't heard a lot of rumblings. Of course, I'm talking about the fall release from Too Faced. This year the palette is called Pumpkin Spice Second Slice. Just in case you didn't already know, they did have a pumpkin spice palette 2 years ago, I believe. So that's why this is the second slice. Get it? This is currently available. I purchased mine from Ulta, but you can also find the palette and the little limited edition PSL Melted Matte lipstick at Sephora as well. The palette's priced at $54. And the Melted Matte shade is $26, that's US dollars. This is the original Pumpkin Spice palette. Pretty sure this one was 2 years ago because it was Gingerbread, then Gingerbread Extra Spicy, then this one, then Cinnamon Bun was last year. So I think this is from 2 years ago. Obviously you can't help but draw a comparison between these two. I think the most noticeable difference with this year's release is it's no longer in the tin packaging. It's now in this more slimline cardboard packaging. Still has the same sort of look. Obviously it's Too Faced, you know, they're gonna do something really cutesy with the pie graphic. Personally, I miss the tin packaging. I always liked this packaging. You know, this is fine, this is easy to store. It doesn't feel light and cheapy and breakable, like it wouldn't travel well. Probably just a nostalgia factor for me, so I'm willing to admit that, you know, there is bias involved here. Like I said, the fall release from Too Faced is typically one of my favorite releases of the year. It's always something I look forward to. So I have a certain high expectation built in. Seeing the packaging change, you know, it's a bit of an adjustment, especially with the price increase. But it's a personal choice. Perhaps you like this better, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just not my preference and it's not what I kind of anticipated. I will say this palette will have a very hard time too because of all the Too Faced fall releases. The Pumpkin Spice palette is literally my #1 most favorite palette. So to kind of recreate that magic by releasing a part 2 to this one, they're big shoes to fill. It's a big pie tin to fill. I should probably cut that joke. If my son was here, he'd be like, "Oh, mom jokes." I will say with the rising prices, at least we're not seeing this trend of shrinkflation where prices go up and the size of products goes down. These eyeshadow pans actually contain slightly more product than the past years. So this Pumpkin Spice palette, for example, has 18 shadows and they're 0.7 grams each. The Pumpkin Spice Second Slice also has 18 shadows, but these are 0.88 grams each. So you are getting a little bit more product here. Another difference that I wanted to point out. Now, this is still scented. It has what I call the Michael's Craft Store scent. And if you know what I mean, then you know exactly what I mean. It smells like that fall cinnamon sort of potpourri, the craft store smell, you know what I mean. This still is scented in that way, but it's not nearly as intensely scented as I feel past palettes have been. For these, when I would just open the palette, it would be like the wave of that fragrance kind of washing over me. And this definitely feels a little bit more subtle, a little bit more like I kind of have to really get in there to sniff it to detect the smell. So it is still there, and if you're somebody who is sensitive to fragrance in makeup, or you just simply don't like fragrance in your makeup, still be aware that it's there, but not quite as overwhelming as past year's releases. As far as other comparisons go, I am going to do side-by-side swatches with the new Pumpkin Spice Second Slice palette and all of the other past fall palettes. And let me tell you, I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts about this palette. Before we get into all that though, I just want to give you a close-up look at this palette and its packaging. We'll do finger and brush swatches. I'll show you an eyeshadow tutorial, the comparisons. I'll also talk about the PSL shade Melted Matte. Let's start with this one because I cannot find the past year's fall releases to do any comparisons with this one. I found the box with all of my Too Faced Melted Mattes in it, but it doesn't have any of the special holiday shades. I had those in a separate drawer in my old studio, and when I moved, I obviously packed them separately and I do not know where they are. So let's just really quickly talk about this PSL shade and then we'll get into the palette. Here's a close-up look at the Melted Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade PSL. Like I mentioned, this one is priced at $26 US, and in a lot of ways, it's just like the regular Melted Mattes. The formula, the applicator wand, and everything are the same. However, this is also scented, and it does have the special packaging that is just so super duper cute. I absolutely love this shade. It's toasty, it's reddish, but it's not too red, it's not too orange, it's not too brown. It's just the perfect fall color. Love it. This is absolutely my top pick from this release, and it's comfy and cute and it wears a long time and I love it. Now let's talk about the Pumpkin Spice Second Slice eyeshadow palette. I don't love the packaging here. I think it's just like a more watered down version of what we've seen in the past, and I just wish there was a little bit more pizzazz. I don't know if it's just because I miss that tin packaging, but I just wish there was a little bit more color, a little bit more design, presence. I don't know. It's still pretty cute. It's cutesy. It's definitely Too Faced-ish. It's just not quite there for me when it comes to my expectation for this fall release. Like I said, this is a cardboard packaging. It has a magnetic closure. There is a mirror inside. And then we have all 18 shades laid out here in 3 rows. The shade names are printed in the pans just below the shadows. And it has this really reflective gold background that's kind of throwing off the lighting for my camera focus. So apologies for that. Now let's take a look at some swatches here. We have a variety of finishes. There are 9 mattes, thankfully, because the mattes are definitely the best performers in this palette. 7 shimmers, 1 kind of satiny shade. The hot pink is sort of a satin type shade, and then 1 matte with glitter. The matte with glitter shade is this very streaky shade called More Please, and I wish that there was more please, because this is absolutely the worst performing shadow in this palette. It's so patchy. No matter how I applied it, finger or brush, it was just no bueno, not good at all. Now, the mattes here are very soft and velvety. They blend really well. It's very similar to the Born This Way Natural Nudes palette, which I really liked. However, in the Born This Way Natural Nudes, the shimmers were really foily and really, really metallic and opaque. And these shimmers are very, very hit or miss in this Pumpkin Spice Second Slice palette. So the mattes is really where the comparison ends for me. And then the satin shade and the matte with glitter shades were so patchy, so thin, so hard to work with. They were even hard to swatch. And sometimes you can get crummy performing shadows to look halfway decent in a swatch, but I really struggled to get several of the shades in this palette. Some of the shimmers as well just didn't apply well. They didn't stick to the skin. They were patchy. Half the shades in this palette are good and half are just lackluster or total duds. I used some of the really better performing shades for my eye look today, and I like the way that my eye look turned out. I do think that I would be able to get a handful of really, really nice looking, nice performance-wise eyeshadow looks from this palette, but for an 18 pan palette, I really need more than half of the shades to be high performers for me. especially when we're talking about an over $50 price point. I feel like I would be better off just using my ColourPop Bare Necessities palette or one of the many, many other warm neutral palettes that I have that were more consistent and less expensive. So all in all, my conclusion here is to go for the Melted Matte shade if you are interested in purchasing from this release, and just go ahead, save your dollars, skip the palette. Now I'm going to do some comparisons here. The first is the Gingerbread Spice palette. This is the original one, and the whole second half of the palette from the gold shimmer on are pretty much the exact same shades. But you could just tell the consistency, even with this, 4-year-old palette, the Gingerbread Spice is just more consistent, more opaque, more intense. It has more visual interest color story-wise, and that's pretty much going to be the theme of these comparisons. Look at that matte with glitter shade. You can't tell me these aren't the almost exact same colors, but Gingerbread Extra Spicy is just way better when it comes to the actual shadow quality. I was blown away when I did this comparison because the 1-for-1s are just so close, but the actual performance of the shadows is so far. And speaking of so far, here is my beloved Pumpkin Spice, the original. Look at the colors in here. It's just crazy to me. The shadows, again, as usual, are better, more consistent, more opaque, softer, and the colors are prettier. There's more variation. There's hundreds of looks that come from this original Pumpkin Spice palette. It's such a shame that they decided to build off of this beautiful palette, and this is what we got. I mean, I guess we should have seen it coming. Last year, Cinnamon Swirl was pretty blah color story wise, but at least it's not tons of dupes within the same palette, and at least the shadows were performing well. I mean, all of these comparison palettes are leaps and bounds better, and they are several years old, except for Cinnamon Swirl, which is just about 1 year old. So there's that. You know, I really wanted to love it. I really wanted to love it. I think that makes it worse. It makes it hurt more because this is one of the most anticipated releases of the year for me. I rushed to my local Ulta to pick this up. I got the last one. I wanted to love it. I wanted it to be good. And I just don't feel like it stacks up to the past year's releases. I genuinely wish that I could say otherwise. I wish that I could just rave about this palette like I have for pretty much all of the other ones in the past. Even when people were hating on those past ones, I still loved them. And this year, I can't really get there. I cannot rave about this year's release. It's just quality-wise not as good. Shade-wise, it's just not really happening for me. Packaging-wise, it's like halfway there. It just feels a little lackluster. Everything about it just feels a little bit flat for me. And I could forgive a lot of that if the shadow quality was really good. The mattes are good. The shimmers are not doing it for me. There's too many shades in here that are similar to each other. And obviously, you know, you can't go back and buy all the past year's palettes anymore. They're always limited edition. But if you have any of those, you can pretty much do the same looks you can get from this. Shoot, if you have a warm neutral palette, which you probably do, from literally anywhere, then, you know, there's just not a lot happening here to get me excited. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish we didn't have so many shades, even within this palette, that are so similar. All of these really bronzy shades swatch and perform really similarly. These two look really similar. These all kind of look similar. It's just too much repetition, not enough blow me away quality, not enough excitement with the packaging design. I'm sad to say it. I hate to say that because I wanted this to be good. I really did. And you know, the lip color is really cute. I like the Melted Matte liquid lip formula. I've always liked it. I've liked it for years. So I can definitely recommend this. I just can't really throw my recommendation, sadly, behind this palette. Pumpkin spice, do not grab a second slice. It's not that tasty. But that's just one girl's opinion. I would love to hear what you think about these products. Have you tried them? Have you picked them up? You completely disagree, you love them, you're over the moon. I always love to hear what you think about things too. So make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Okay, let me just get it out of my system now before I start all the info things. Look at my pumpkin earrings. Aren't they so cute? You know I love matching. Don't know if you know this about me. I love a theme. I love a theme. I love dressing up. I love Halloween. My family is that family that does themed family costumes. Maybe you think that's corny. I don't care. I love it. I made them. Yes, they're in my Etsy shop. Yes, I love them. And every time I wear a pumpkin themed eyeshadow palette, I will be wearing pumpkin earrings. No one should be surprised by this. Also, the nails don't really perfectly match the palette, but they really go with the lip color. So, okay, gotta focus. Maggie's good. She's napping over there. All right, where was I? Ugh, I'm so bummed. I wanted to love this. Why? Damn it, Too-Faced. Oh, sorry, Grandma. My grandma watches my videos. She doesn't care. I'm sure she's heard me say worse. Sorry for that too as well. Alright, that's it. We did it, and we did it in plenty of time for me to go have a nice little snack before I pick up my kid from school. And I'll get this video edited for you, and you know, you can't win them all. You can't win them all, so that's okay. At least the lip color is really cute, right? That's something. And hey, the eye look turned out to be cute. It's just I could have easily done this with like 10 other palettes that I already own. So, maybe next year. I'm not giving up. Holding out hope. Sometimes that's all we have. At least these pumpkin earrings are a hit. Thank you for watching. You are the best. And I'm glad that you're here, and you are both sweet and spicy like a PSL. And that's one of the things I like about you. So I will see you real soon. Thanks for watching. You're the best. I love your face. Okay, bye.